Get that.
It's okay. That's okay, my friend. And we're going live in 3, 2, 1. All right, and we're back with the show. It's the Pop Culture Cosmos. Da-da-da-da. 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 That sound right here, you got to know it. It's from the Addams Family, along, I guess, just a Halloween sort of type feel is coming about because it is getting closer to Halloween. I can't even believe it myself. This year has absolutely flown by. But the Addams Family has come out to theaters this past weekend, did about $30 million at the box office here domestically. Not a bad return. I will say that I am very complimentary for them. It's not because of a lack of publicizing the movie, because they have aligned themselves, much like in the past with what they've done with a lot of other movies that you've seen, with them aligning themselves with a lot of different vendors, retailers, sponsorships, things of that nature. I've seen them pitched out for various things from like restaurants to other items that have been out there and retailers and things of that nature. But you know what, my friend? There's a good man indeed who actually has seen the film and wants to let you know whether it's creepy and it's spooky, or if it's something else entirely. He is the man behind Hunnicween. You got to check out everything that's going on today at Hunnicween. You can check out all of his awesome podcasts or the Facebook groups that he's a part of. Well, don't get me started on Facebook right now, because, like we talked about, I'm not exactly in good standing with Facebook right now, but hopefully that'll materialize back this week. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But it is a good man indeed. It is my friend, Jason Todd Fineburgh. Jason, welcome back, my friend.
Hey, look, with me every day is Halloween. But seriously, here's the thing. The Addams Family means something to me because growing up as a kid on WBIX, Channel 11 New York, before it became the WB and eventually the CW, there was Addams Family, The Munsters, Three Stooges, Batman 66. But Addams Family always stuck with me for some reason. And then I found that Hanna-Barbera tried two attempts to make this an animated series. They had it in the 70s, and then they had it with them partnering up with the new Scooby-Doo movies. And then after the 90s movies came and went, Hanna-Barbera again tried to make this a Saturday morning cartoon on ABC. It only lasted for a year, and John Astin, who played Gomez back in the 60s, reprised his role. And we recently lost Rip Taylor. He voiced Fester. And Carol Chan and someone else we lost a few months ago played Granny. I don't remember who played Morticia or Wednesday or Pugsley. The actors don't sound familiar. The show sometimes appears on Boomerang, but when this movie originally came, I mean the 1991 with Barry Sonnenfeld, I remember seeing the teaser trailer, and it was people in a movie theater, and they were watching an old 30s movie, and it was a romantic comedy, and this woman telling, gentleman, I want to be with you, blah blah blah. Nothing would make me leave this room, and then all of a sudden, she and the man turned to the audience and they let her scream, and they said everybody in the theater's left, and then they run out, and then we like kind of do a 180 and find out like who's in the audience, and it's the Addams Family, and it's that da and then the marketing for this movie in the 90s was phenomenal. You could, especially when I lived in New York, you couldn't drive past a billboard or go in Manhattan and see the advertisements on the buses or down in the New York City subway without seeing something advertised for the Addams Family logo or seeing a giant disembodied hand butcher's thing walking across saying coming soon. The movie and its sequel met my expectations. People meme. I think the Thanksgiving scene in Addams Family values more, especially since Thanksgiving is coming up, because they love that whole Wednesday and Pugsley scene where they're at the summer camp and they're doing the Thanksgiving pageant. But the first movie, it's not like it didn't have its controversy. The second one also had its controversy. This movie I'm a little bit surprised about because we talked about Joker a couple weeks ago, and I find it odd that people were outraged, I tells you, with Joker killing people and making fun of the mentally ill, we're going to get into the controversy with this movie as well because there is going to be an Addams Family movie catered just for you. Even that Tim Curry, Dan O'Hara directed video movie, but this one I feel I'm glad it made its money. It didn't make a lot, but it did make something. I think it'll make a profit in home video as well, and I'm glad it didn't bomb and made expectations.
No, it
It's
wasn't a Gemini Man.
Yeah, it did. It well, I have no desire. Will Smith, I think, is in the category of actors that wants to make movies that they just want to go and see. But and I feel bad for Will Smith in a way. I don't know if Bad Boys 4 is going to save his career at this point. He dropped out of Suicide Squad. But I'll tell you, seeing this movie in the theater yesterday made me happy because it was a bunch of kids with their parents. And yeah, it really. Well, we'll get to it when we get to it. But I will say this much: there really was not any outrage. And is there a plot? The trailer kind of gives bits and pieces away. I'm going to give this a spoiler free as humanly possible because it's still, it's only been a couple of days. I'm just gonna talk about like at least the first 5 minutes of it because it pretty much before the opening credits. The cold opening pretty much deals with Gomez and Morticia, and we get an origin that they're going to get married, and they're in, I guess, some sort of, any old country. They could be in Transylvania for all we know. They're about to get married, and the normals with the torches and the pitchforks run them out of town. They somehow get the family car that you know either from the 90s movie or the 60s sitcom, and Thing is their chauffeur. Also, Thing now has like a wristband that has a eye on it, so that's how he kind of sees. But he wears it now and then, just like if I guess he has to drive them around. Anyway, they drive to Jersey because they're looking for a new home, and that's where its creator, Charles Addams, was born. He was born in Westfield, New Jersey. So people are curious why it's in New Jersey. It's a dedication to him. Get it, dead? And so, as they're driving along looking for a new home, they accidentally run into this thing, and it turns out it's Lurch, and he has like a straitjacket from the criminally insane. And apparently, he came from this house up on a hill, and it becomes a new home. It's like he's able to rip off the straitjacket. He's ready to strangle them, and they just hand him luggage and go like, "Okay, thank you, old boy," and that's it. So Lurch becomes their butler. That's pretty much it. I mean, and the home is just there. And if you ever seen the Enemy of Horror, you have the spirits go and get out, and the Addams just like, oh, well, it must be grumpy before he has his coffee. So they make coffee and they pour it into a toilet, and the house is okay, and that's pretty much it. I mean, Charles Addams said that he created this one panel comic back in the 50s mainly for satirizing not only the 20th century family, but eccentric rich people, the aristocrats. So that was pretty much it. If you're a fan of the Addams Family, they're into the macabre. They're all about being different in ways that Gomez. He's very eccentric and outgoing. Although Raul Julia made him bipolar in a way. Voice actor and character actor Oscar Isaacs, from the new Star Wars trilogy, and he also had a cameo in Spider-Verse. He's Gomez. He's awesome. He's not doing a Raul Julia impersonation, which is great. Charles Therese. Was it Sharon Therese? I keep forgetting her name. I should know this one.
You mean Charlize Theron?
Charlize Theron. I'm sorry. That's right. I forgot she's an Atomic Blonde, and yeah, Charlize Theron. She's not doing an Angelica Houston impersonation, but Morticia still isn't fleshed out. So, she's just a supporting wife and mother, which is fine. Fester is Fester. He is the albino, uh, obese man with the overcoat who likes to bite on light bulbs and they'll light up. Granny is Granny. She's either, sometimes she's a witch, sometimes she's just an eccentric old lady. And you have Wednesday and Pugsley, the kids, and Pugsley is just the short, overweight kid that likes to blow things up. And Wednesday is just a very dark person. And the reason why she's called Wednesday is that I've done my research with this. There seems to be this old nursery rhyme. It's kind of like Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday, christened on a Tuesday, married on a Wednesday, and he died on a Sunday. There is supposedly another really disturbing nursery rhyme about a girl being born or died on a Wednesday. So that's how Wednesday got her name. And again, I go back to the 90s movie that just has Christina Ricci made Wednesday dark and disturbing. So does Chloe Grace Moretz, who back in 2012 was in a Tim Burton version of Dark Shadows. She's now the new Wednesday Addams. She's awesome. She's not doing a Christina Ricci impersonation. I do love the design on the characters because they are a nice little homage to the 1950s one panel cartoon from the New Yorker. They now just have a 3D model, you know, effect to them, but they seem to be based more on the original Charles Addams cartoon. I guess the reason why they didn't want to live action is again because I go back to the 1990s movie, very controversial for its time. You had Wednesday and Pugsley trying to kill each other. One of the most controversial scenes was Wednesday trying to get Pugsley into the electric chair, which she's able to get him into. She's going to electrify him, and if you know, Morticia ends up letting Wednesday throw the switch because they're both begging that they want this thing to work for some reason. The parents back then were outraged, and Pugsley is electrified off screen because a lot of parent complaints. They apparently, this was in the trailer and this was test screen. They were not happy. Also, if you watch the original movie with the cold opening, there are Christmas carolers at the Addams estate, and the family is on top of the roof, and they're about to they're about to pour boiling hot lava onto the Christmas carolers. That outraged test screen audiences. And then the sequel, Wednesday and Pugsley want to kill the newborn baby. This one, they kind of toned down the Barry Sonnenfeld violence, but the one thing I will give away is that Wednesday does knock Pugsley over the head with a shovel and try to bury him alive. And the way that she says she's going to do this, because she says that she loves him, her pupils dilate a little, and she's definitely darker. This is probably the darkest. She's actually topped Christina Ricci. Not that Christina Ricci was horrible, but Grace Chloe Moretz has been around since I think the movie Kick-Ass. I think she was on something before Kick-Ass as well. I mean, she's been around for a while, but it's a nice little pass torch. Pugsley has been fleshed out a little bit too, but his story is actually important to the A story, so I don't want to give away too much with Pugsley, but they finally have given this character a little more to do. He's always seemed to be like a punching bag in previous versions of the Addams Family. He's always been like someone that Wednesday wants to electrify an electric chair or try to stab with an axe. So thankfully, he has been fleshed out. Fester, however, unlike the 1990 version, where he was the main part of both Addams Family and Addams Family Values, Fester is voiced by Nick Kroll, who has voiced Gunter the Pig and Sing, as well as a character. I guess it's a family show, so he voiced a character in James Franco's and Seth Rogen's Sausage Party, which I'm not. He's a very talented character actor and voice actor. He voices Fester, but surprisingly, Fester's in the background most of this movie. We don't get to see what Christopher Lloyd did. He's not really stealing scenes, and that's the other problem too. Is that this is an animated movie, so other than Grace Chloe Moretz, who was really doing a good job playing this dark and dour Wednesday Addams, who wants to explore what's outside the mansion because up until I guess her being 8 or 10 years old in this movie, she's been homeschooled because Gomez and Morticia will run out of a town and they're afraid to leave the mansion because they're afraid to be run out again. She does get to explore what's on the bottom of the hill of the Addams mansion. But again, it's weak on plot, but it makes up for the macabre sight gags. If you're a fan of the 1990 and 1993 Addams Family and Addams Family values, this is a nice little Halloween treat. It's 80 minutes, and maybe 90, I guess, with the 10 minutes of previews, and then with the credits. And right before the credits, they'll do like a karaoke Addams Family theme music, and you'll get to snap your fingers along. But it's never boring. Does not say you're welcome. It just depends if you are a fan of these characters. They do a great job. I'm not going to go with who's a better Gomez because I'm not going to go like with Adam West or Michael Keaton or
Raul Julia.
yeah, I'm not gonna say like who was a better Batman and who was a better Gomez Adams. I'm not gonna go like John Aston, Raul Julia, and Isaac or Tim Curry or Oscar Isaacs. I'm not gonna go there like who was a better. There's one even Nathan Lane in the Broadway musical. The bottom line is this: there is a Gomez and a Morticia and a Wednesday and a Pugsley and a Fester catered for you. For me, because I've watched all the Addams Family movies and I have seen the I didn't see the original with Nathan Lane and Baby Newworth who played Gomez and Morticia 2000. I see the touring version. But movie-wise, I have to go with the first Addams movie, Values, this 2019 version, and Saturday on the Bottom, Family Reunion, which was with Tim Curry and Daryl Hannah. But this movie, the best way to describe it, it's a good rainy day Saturday afternoon movie. That's pretty much it.
Fair enough. That's a pretty review for you there. And I tell you what, Addams Family is, it's basically popcorn fun, great for the kids. It sounds like something that, like you said, on a rainy day, as it gets closer into fall here, yeah, it's definitely something that maybe if you want, you could check it out that way. But it's a premier animated adventure or family fun adventure that you're going to check out. No, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a priority, especially with all the Disney stuff that's coming, with Maleficent that's coming out next week, and Maleficent that's coming out this week. And also as well, you've got Frozen 2 right around the corner.
Yeah, you see, here's the thing, though. I tried to watch the first Maleficent. I feel that it's girl power, and a lot of women are going, thanks, but no thanks. The same thing when Wicked came out. They were like, okay, yeah, it's girl power, but it's something we don't. And the same thing with Frozen. I know a lot of people, I heard people ended up getting divorced because, the couples were indifferent about this movie. I saw Frozen finally on DVD. The Let It Go song is definitely not the worst thing that's come about. It's almost up there with the Macarena and Celine Dion's, My Heart Will Go On. But there really wasn't much to it that if I never see it again, other than when I went back to New York and I saw they have a Broadway version of it, I really don't have the desire. And I'm not really going to go out to see Frozen 2. I'll wait for it to come out on video, if anything. It has nothing to do with the fact that the main characters are two females. They're just, if I want to see a movie about a strong female character, I like Moana. That was a good one. I like the songs in Moana. But even with Zootopia, Judy Hopps, I love that character. There's nothing else on Anna for me. And Sven the Snowman, no, the deer and Olaf the Snowman. No, it's it's really no, not my bag. And unless I'm asked to review it, I'll wait for that. I think that's going to be more of a matinee thing. I think they're kind of hoping for Oscar season or something, but I just don't really see it, popping. People are just like pretending they're forcing smiles, but I think they're kind of like done with both. And it's kind of funny that they pushed back. Well, actually, Addams Family is supposed to come out the weekend of Maleficent, but decided to have it like the second weekend of the Joker. I guess it's like if you don't want to take kids to the Killer Clown, you seem to see the Killer Animated Family. So it's still a win-win. Other
It
than that, though, I don't know what
It
else
is
is out
still,
there.
oh, it is still a win-win because it is a movie that, like you said, this was the time frame it could be squeezed in there because it was going to go ahead and get steamrolled either last week or what's upcoming in the future because it's a movie that has a very finite window in which it can achieve success. Same thing for Gemini Man. Unfortunately, that will never meet the success of what's needed for that film, and that's going to go ahead and be another box office disappointment right there. But those were some great thoughts from you, my friend. I cannot thank you enough for going ahead and sharing your thoughts on the Addams Family. And I'll tell you what, my friend, before we head on out, you got to go ahead and give an update on what's going on with Hunnicween. Where can people go to be a part of all the Hunnicween goodness?
Pretty much just search for it. Podbean, we're on there right now. Archives are just up for a year. Pretty much, I'm just going to offer guesting until 2020, until I start to relaunch and probably put the show on YouTube and do some vlogs. The podcasts were not doing as great as I thought, so I'm going to try doing vlogs. But right now, I'm just going to be guesting here and there, and we'll see what happens in 2020. But if you are curious as well, I have in the archives top 31 Halloween favorites, as well as the number one has a separate episode, which I'm sure you'll enjoy. And hopefully, I'll be back in a couple weeks to discuss the Lighthouse because that's something I'm really, really interested in.
Well,
Which
I was going to ask you to come back in a couple weeks anyways to give us your top 10 horror movies that people should go ahead and check out for the Halloween season. So will I see you in 2 weeks?
Yes, you will.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Once again, it is Jason Todd Fineburgh from Hunnicween. If you want to check out all the great stuff that he's doing, he's got some great Facebook groups. Hunnicween, HUNNICWEEN, right there for you. He's got some great live videos that he's posted also as well. He goes ahead and shares his thoughts with us on reviews for films. And again, coming up in 2 weeks, 10 great horror films that he's going to go ahead and tell you should see for Halloween. Well, my friend, it's been great talking to you. Cannot thank you enough for being a part of the show. Always looking forward to your appearances here on the Pop Culture Cosmos.